In today's episode, I'm going to answer a very simple question. If you have a cheap projector, is it worth buying an expensive screen to go with it? Will you experience a miracle? That's what I'm going to talk to you about now, and I'll also show you some examples and tests. Stay with me. From my channel, I test quite a lot of projectors, so I've been planning for a long time to invest in a better screen because up until now I've been using a cheap, wrinkly screen that lets through a lot of light, which, let's admit, hasn't really done any favors for the projector tests. So I invested in a more expensive one. This turned out to be the BlitzWolf BW-VS10 projector screen, which actually isn't even a screen in the traditional sense, but I'll tell you more about that a bit later. Because as usual, first we'll do the unboxing and assembly. After the assembly, I'll go over the specifications and then I'll share my experiences. In this case, the unboxing and assembly are very important because we're talking about a large screen. A screen with a fixed aluminum frame. In other words, this will be a screen that can be permanently mounted on the wall. It's 100 inches, which means the diagonal is roughly 2.5 meters. Accordingly, it arrives in a fairly large and heavy package with all sorts of metal connecting parts and aluminum profiles. You have to assemble these yourself. The assembly process is as follows. First, you need to put together the thicker, wider aluminum profiles. At the corners, you have to insert the corner brackets, and on the long sides, the top and bottom are each made up of 2 pieces, since that's the only way they fit into the packaging. When you're assembling it, there's one thing you really need to pay attention to. A metal piece is used to join the long sides. Together, fastened with 4 screws, this needs to be placed exactly in the middle because there will be a hole in the center of the metal piece. You need to screw an extra screw into that hole, and the black decorative frame will be screwed onto this screw. If this isn't placed in the center, the decorative frame will also shift to one side, and it will look really bad. So the point is that this black 4-screw fastener needs to be placed exactly in the center everywhere, both at the bottom and at the top. In the same way, the brace that will connect the long sides vertically should also be positioned in the center. Once that's done, you can set the frame aside. The manufacturer points out that you need to lay the canvas face down on the floor, but you should put something underneath it because it could get damaged or scratched. I thought I should put a rug underneath, but I didn't have one that big. However, fortunately, the manufacturer rolled up a kind of fabric material inside the canvas, which is quite large. You can spread that out on the floor. So spread it out on the floor and place the canvas on top of it. Once you've done that, you can put the aluminum frame on top. Make sure to place it exactly in the center. After this, you need to insert the small securing rods into the edge of the canvas, which is where you'll hook the springs. And these springs are what will stretch the canvas into place on the frame. They provide a small hook for stretching the springs into place. You need to use this to hook them on. It's not easy to hook all these springs, but once you get the hang of the motion and figure out how to twist them into place, it won't be that difficult anymore. Make sure to attach the springs in order, as neatly as possible. More precisely, what I did was first hook in all the middle springs everywhere and then work my way out toward the edges and corners so that the canvas would be stretched evenly. If possible, avoid stepping on the canvas with shoes. I also walked on it in socks to avoid damaging it because there is a coating on the underside of the canvas, and this will be very important for its use. It must not be damaged. Once the canvas is in place, all you have to do is screw on the thin black frame. I think it's about 2 centimeters wide that needs to be attached. This will frame the canvas like a picture frame. You snap 4 plastic pieces onto the 4 corners to cover the joints, and basically you're done. There's nothing else you need to do. You just have to mount the 2 hooks back on the wall, hang up the canvas, and you're ready for movie time. So that's pretty much all there is to the assembly. That sounds simple when explained, but be prepared that since the screen is large, you'll need a lot of space on the floor to assemble it. So make sure to clear a sufficiently large area for the assembly. What can the screen do? Well, as I mentioned, the BW-VS10 is not actually a canvas, but PVC. Well, yes, it's almost like linoleum that you lay on the floor, but it's not quite the same. This is PVC and it's thinner. You really need to be careful when unpacking it, not to crease it, because this plastic does tend to crease a little. For example, if you accidentally step on it while it's folded. So be careful with this because you won't be able to smooth it out again. The point of this PVC is that it's not just plain gray PVC, but it has a coating called gray crystal. This gray crystal coating serves several purposes. One of its purposes is to absorb external light and not reflect it. So I'm talking about ambient light If the blinds aren't fully lowered or the curtains in the room aren't properly drawn, then ideally it shouldn't reflect ambient light back into our eyes. Another important thing is that the grey surface will provide a much more contrasty image. The blacks will look much better and the colors will be much more vibrant than if you were projecting onto a plain white screen. It's very important that this grey crystalline surface reflects light really well and it reflects the light evenly. The manufacturer says that it basically looks as if there were an automatic brightness adjustment on the screen. So there won't be such a big difference in brightness between the center of the image and the edges as there usually is with a white screen. And of course, this screen obviously has other features too, like once you stretch it out, you'll never have to iron or smooth it again, for example. It will be as smooth as a mirror. A fly could slide on its backside across it. That's how smooth it will be. So this is a really great thing, and you can expect the projector's image to look fantastic, reflecting right back into your eyes. All right, but what kind of experiences did I have with this screen? Well, the thing is, when I first assembled the screen and tried it out with my smallest DLP projector, which has 450 ANSI lumens, I was in for a serious disappointment because the automatic brightness adjustment just didn't seem to work. One half of the image was bright while the other was very dark. You should know that I wasn't projecting exactly from the center. I had to turn the projector a little. The part of the screen closer to the projector was still acceptable, but the far side was so dark that I couldn't see anything during dark scenes. So adjusting the brightness didn't work. I didn't really like the colors either. Everything looked a bit gray and washed out. Well, I didn't like it. Let's just say it was quite a disappointment. I thought that with a 50 or 60,000 forint screen, the image would just pop off the wall, flow down, and everything would be right there in the living room. All the characters would be running around me. Instead, what I got was a flat, matte gray surface with ugly colors. So it wasn't good. It was a disappointment. But actually, as I later realized, the problem wasn't with the screen, but with the projector. And I'm already giving away the punchline here. I'm giving the answer to the first question. So if you have a weak projector, is it worth buying an expensive screen? Well, definitely not the BlitzWolf BW-VS10, because the BlitzWolf BW-VS10 not only fails to improve the image quality with a bad projector, it actually makes the quality even worse. But what's the solution? Well, the only real solution is to use a proper projector with it. That's the bad news. But the good news is that proper projectors start at around 100,000 forints, and based on my experience, these 900 and 1100 ANSI LCD projectors have already performed quite well. So if you have a projector like this, or an even better one, say a laser projector, or God willing, a 4K projector with high brightness, well, that will have a good picture. I even recorded a short clip for you so you can see the difference between a weak and a strong projector and how their brightness appears on the screen. Everything that changes is very good. I think personally this is also a good thing. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. I hope so. I don't know what its capability is. You could see what I wanted to say, but it still doesn't show what kind of quality you get if you project a film of normal quality. So I made a short few-second demonstration of what it looks like when you project a normally high-resolution HDR film onto the screen with a relatively simple and relatively inexpensive BlitzWolf projector. that's about it. I hope this was convincing because this picture really does jump off the screen. See, the room isn't even completely darkened. I only lowered the blinds halfway so there would still be some light in the room. We don't want to stumble over everything. So this recording wasn't made in complete darkness, but rather in a room that's only partially darkened. And even so, just look and see what it's like when you have a 100-inch screen of this quality in your room. Yes, this is already almost like watching TV, even though you're not using a laser projector, but a relatively simple 1100 ANSI LCD projector. So basically, this is my experience, and also my good advice at the same time. If you have a cheap projector, don't try to fix it with a good screen because it won't make any difference. But if you have a good projector, then it's definitely worth getting a good screen to go with it, because it will enhance the experience your projector can provide. Okay, so under the video on YouTube, you'll find the coupon code you can use to buy it. With this coupon, you can save about 10,000 forints. The link to purchase will also be there. And make sure to subscribe to my channel because tomorrow I'll be coming with a projector review. So come back and check out this projector review as well. Oh, but in the meantime, pick another video from the two appearing next to me, where I'm also testing a projector. Watch that one too, I'm sure you'll like it. Take care, look after yourself, subscribe to the channel, and come back tomorrow. Bye.